Trudie, glaze.
Hi guys, in today's video I'm going to be showing you how I made Honeeey Honey, and for this one you're just going to need a little bit of clay, and what I'm using here is the yellow quartz, which is a special effects clay. For this one I actually just mixed yellow in with translucent, but I ran out of the translucent and I haven't been able to get to Michael's to buy more, so I'm just going to try it with the quartz. And for this one I'm going to turn it into a charm, so I'm just using a little eye pin here, and I've just bent the end of it already. And as you'll see on the top, there's a little bit of honey drizzled down here, and for that I'm just going to take some of the liquid Sculpey. And again, this is a really old bottle, you can tell it's been well used. And I'll just be mixing some pastel into that, and a little bit of yellow for the handle. And then we have 2 little pieces for the hands, and then 2 pieces for the feet. So again, you don't need a whole lot of clay. And so I'm just going to go ahead and show you how I made our little honey. So what you'll do is make a cylinder shape. So just like so. And then at the top, what I did was just pinch it to make it a bit narrow. So just go around the entire top piece so you have something like that. So it's sort of like a bottle shape. And then I'm just going to push down and pinch. So you have something like that. And I like to make like a little tiny indent in the top, so that's where we'll fill up with the liquid Sculpey. I'm just going to roll it out a little bit, just to kind of flatten the ends. And then I'll take one of my wooden tools and just make some little ridges around the top. So I'm going to try and fit 3 in here. And just going to push it down. So that's our basic honey bottle shape. And I think what I'll do is maybe just roll out the bottom just a little bit. So you can make it as tall or big, as wide as you want. This one may end up being a little bit bigger, but it's going to be a charm, so put our little 2 feet together here. And I don't know if you can see it, but with the effects clay here, it's like a gemstone effect, so it's got a little bit of glitter to it. So it'll be kind of neat to see how it turns out. So there we go. And our little tiny mouth here. So again, I'll just use one of my little wooden tools just to make a little tiny mouth there. And we'll roll out 2 little hands. And I'll just make 2 little circles in the side. So this was requested by thecatholicprius on YouTube, who asked if I could make Honeeey Honey. So I hope you're watching this and you'll like it. So what I'm going to do next is make our little honey mixture. And you don't need very much at all. And this is getting quite low. Now I don't know normally how long these last, but whether they have an expiry date. I don't see anything on there, but I should invest in a new bottle. So all you're going to do is just, this is sort of a ochre color, so it's like a light brown, yellowy. And I'm just going to sprinkle off some of the color, and you can make it as dark or light as you want. It's always best just to add a little bit at first, and then that way if you need to add more you can. So I'm just actually have this on like a piece of plastic. So before I add that, I'm just going to make the little spoon so it looks like it's kind of bigger on one end and then it gets a bit narrow. So I might actually cut this just a little bit shorter and just roll the end piece. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and add in our little mixture here. I'm just going to drizzle it down. There we go. So you can just add as much as you want. And then what I should have done actually is stick our little eye pin in there before I stuck the liquid sculpey in, but it should be okay. Oh, it might be just a little trickier to push in there. But no, I think that's okay. Oh, it's just stuck my hand. It's so messy, but it's fun. So that's okay. So now what I'm going to do is just add in, I might actually just put the little handle on the other side since I stuck the pin in there. Oh, and again I'm making a huge mess here. Alright, so I just made a smaller one there. The other one I found too big. I'm going to move this out of the way because I keep putting my hand down on the table and it's getting stuck. So I'm just going to pop that in there. Just like so. And then I will add the little hands on. So what I normally do to fit it into the holes is just pinch the one end. So it's like that. And then just put the narrow end in the hole so it stays good and tight. And the same with this one. And also I'll use another one of my little tools just to make the indent around the bottle. And then what I did was just filled that in with blue paint. So there we go. So that's just the little design. Just around there, and then I just find it easier than you can just go in and paint it with a really thin paintbrush and then make that blue. And I think that's it. I think we got everything here. So I'm just going to go ahead and bake our little honey character for about 25 to 30 minutes at 275 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, so I've gone ahead and baked our little honey, and I actually just left it in for about 20 minutes at 275 degrees Fahrenheit because I've noticed some of the clay, especially the quartz clay, it can burn easily on the bottom. So I just pulled it out before it started to kind of bubble on the bottom. So I've already gone ahead and just glazed the honey part itself. So you can see it's fairly shiny. And I'm just going to be using a little bit of red and blue as well as black. So I'm just going to go ahead and do the letters here. And just using a little tiny paintbrush. And the smallest one that I have. There we go. And it doesn't have to be perfect. It might be easier if you use a marker. You just use whatever you find easiest. And I'm going to go in, and where I made the indent with my little wooden tool, I'm just going to paint the blue detail. And I find if you do make a mistake, you can just kind of wipe a little bit of it off with some Kleenex, and then if you dip like a Q-tip in some rubbing alcohol, that will help clear that away as well. And I've had to do that with the eyes on some of the Shopkins that I've made, just so I can repaint them and make them look how I want them to look. So it does take a bit of a steady hand if you just take your time. I'm just kind of doing like a little bit at a time. So if there's any extra, like I said, you can just take a little bit of rubbing alcohol and dip it into a, or take a Q-tip actually and dip it into the rubbing alcohol is what I'm trying to say. There. And for the eyes, since my Sharpie has dried up a bit, I'm actually going to just paint the eyes on black, and then I'll just go in with the white and make the detail that way. I also find sometimes when I'm using a Sharpie marker, or if it's a Sharpie pen, when I put the glaze on, it kind of smears, but I don't find that with the acrylic paint, so I'm just going to keep just painting the detail on with paint. I do the two little eyes like that, and I'll let that dry, and then I'll go in and add the little details of the white. And also do a little bit of red. I just have to clean my brush. And I'm going to dip it in the red and make a little tiny mouth. Just like so. So I'll let that dry and I'll be right back. Alright, so I've gone ahead and added in the white on the eyes. And now I'm going to draw a little bumblebee, because I was looking at pictures of the actual honey and it looks as though there's a little bumblebee. So I'm just taking some yellow, darker yellow paint, and I'm going to make a little bumblebee on the side. So let's see how this turns out. There, so it's just sort of like a little tiny design on the side. And I don't know if you can really tell that it's a bee. It's a bit of a strange looking bee, but I just try to make the wings and then the little head there. So I will let that dry completely and then I will glaze it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial and found it easy to follow along with. And be sure to like, and if you haven't already done so, subscribe to the channel, and I will hopefully be uploading some of my own creations as well as more Shopkins as well. So be sure to leave me a comment below if there's one that you'd like to see, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.